You're listening to Street Cred, the show laser focused on helping streetwear brand owners turn their side hustle into a full-time career. I'm Elijah Delport, and this morning I'm joined by a bit of a different guest to the show. It's not a brand owner, but rather the co-founder of Fitdrop. We're going to learn a bit more about what Fitdrop is. But welcome to the show, Ethan Dichoso. How are you, Ethan?
Doing good. It's really nice to meet you, and thank you for letting me on the show. I'm really excited to talk about Fitdrop.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for this conversation because it's a bit different than the regular ones I have on this show, as frequent listeners would know. And so I think we're going to get into some niche parts of the fashion industry that I don't know that have been covered yet all that much. So Ethan, I'd love if you could share who you are and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Ethan. I'm the co-founder of Fitdrop. So we're building a new social media app related strictly to fashion. And so the idea behind the app is every single day you take a picture of your outfit and you share it with your friends. It's a great platform to be able to find new people who like fashion, which is really hard to find nowadays for a lot of regular users. And we're also making it a lot easier to just share what you're wearing, find new outfits, new brands and clothes. We want to make the kind of new mecca of everything fashion on the internet. And that's one of the big things that we're trying to do here at Fitdrop. A little bit about me. I'm currently a third-year student in university, so 21 years old. I've been working on Fitdrop now for maybe a year, and we just launched 2 months ago today, which is really cool. And yeah, just really excited about fashion. It's something I'm really passionate about. I think it's a great way to express yourself, and I think there's a ton of different people who use fashion as a creative outlet, especially brand owners, right? Making their own designs, coming up with spreading their own product. And it's something that we really want to embrace with the app. Yeah, no, super excited about kind of the trajectory of the app right now and what we want to do. And I think brands are definitely a big thing that we want to continue with and going to play a big part in our success for sure.
It's really exciting seeing this all starting because it has this real viral potential behind it, the app. And I think you've seen that, Ethan, where you make, I mean, you do a lot of your marketing, at least the marketing that I see through TikTok and Instagram, and it's really, it's blowing up according to many people's standards. People are really attracted to this idea that you created. And I saw in one of your posts that you compared Fitdrop to a cross between Be Real and one other app. What was that? What was the
For
other
sure.
app?
It was Pinterest. Pinterest.
Be Real and Pinterest.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So I think that's great. So essentially, Ethan, you're creating an app for fashion enthusiasts, but very hyper focused on the fashion enthusiasts. It's I suppose it's the greater version of those more general apps of Pinterest and maybe Be Real that are just for anyone in any niche. But this is really for the fashion enthusiasts. And so for that reason, I believe it is so very relevant to those that might be listening this morning, because many of those that start their brands, their streetwear brands, they do so because they're fashion enthusiasts themselves. They enjoy, maybe they're fashion influencers even before then. So yeah, I think what you're doing is awesome. It's a really fantastic idea. Mm.
Appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. No, I think the biggest thing about our app is just the idea it's just fashion alone. I think a lot of traditional fashion apps nowadays, if you look at like Depop or Poshmark or other big fashion apps, the biggest focus is on selling, trying to make money, trying to sell your clothes thrift. What we want to do is really make that more social and make it something where you can express yourself. And I think that's the best part about social media that a lot of people get value from.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely a way that we have to kind of get to that market and kind of achieve that. And definitely, I think there's a ton of viral growth potential. We definitely want to kind of make sure we're building properly before we try and scale too much. But definitely like learning from brands and other users and things like that has been a big focus for us for sure.
Yeah. I saw a video that you posted not too long ago on your TikTok, and it was how to use the Fitdrop app. And I think it was a really good video because it takes what it is, a great concept that you've already explained, and really gives you a good idea about how that concept manifests and realizes itself So I'd love if you could explain the process. If I'm going to upload something to Fitdrop as a user, what does that look like? How do you use the app? Could you briefly run us through that process?
Yeah, for sure. So it's super simple process. You can take a photo on the app. So after you make an account, you can upload a post. It can be public. So if you have a public account, anyone on the app can see it on our Discover page. If you make a private account, it will only be your followers. Very standard, kind of similar to Instagram, whatever your other social media platforms are. What you do is you can upload a photo you take on your camera roll or take a picture with the app. Afterwards, what you can do is then tag your clothes. And that's the kind of biggest unique factor with our app. So you can tag any clothing item you're wearing and you can leave a link. So we have an in-app like search tool where you can search up online the link to your Instagram, the link to your store page, link to the product itself. You can link that onto the item. You post it. You can add hashtags like topics like streetwear, corpcore, whatever other kind of fashion tags you want. And that's what gets you that visibility on the app because users can see all the different hashtags, what topics they're interested in. And the coolest part is when you're on a post, similar to when you tag like your friends on Instagram, you just press on the post, you can see all the tags on the clothes, click on a tag, you go straight to the website. So instead of having to worry about like, hey, where do you buy this item from, having a comment on like a bunch of people's posts, you can get it right there on the post right away. And it's a much easier way to like also promote your brand, to quickly get to your website, but also just to see where to buy clothes that you think look really nice.
Mm. And that was the feature that really stuck out to me when I first came across Fitdrop, because I mean, I'm working in a space in the fashion space with sort of on a one-on-one level with these brand owners, and much of their concern, less concern, but more their thought process, their mind is in a space of marketing. How are we going to market our latest clothing drop? And so one of the ways that they do that is with creating these personal brands. Maybe it's established beforehand, or sometimes they start one afterwards. But it means that their followers can follow along with what they're doing in a more personal and relatable way with a human instead of just this brand. And so I think this is a fantastic opportunity for the brand owners that have a personal brand, that want to get on Fitdrop, post photos of themselves publicly, and tag the clothes of their brand. And yeah, it's oh man, this is what attracted me, and I think that's just such a fantastic feature.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, we actually have a ton of brands already on the app. We're seeing a
Mm,
bunch of different vintage people who kind of sell thrift stuff that they find at the thrift store. We have people who set up their own brands. They're coming on without even, just with the purpose of selling. And I think the coolest part about FitDrop is that every post is very authentic. I think a lot of the
yes,
times when people are trying to shop, they get really intimidated by seeing models, influencers, right? But the really cool part is as a brand owner, you can be authentic and really show what your clothes look like. And it's very easy to
that's really
quickly get
good.
attraction to go to your website specific from the tags, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's a great feature. Actually, I hadn't even considered that, because I mean, I think you explained it, that it sends you a notification, much like Be Real, where
Yeah.
you in a moment take a photo of your fit. It's like, okay, what are you wearing today? I'd love you to expand upon um, that fact a bit more, about the fact that it is more authentic. What do you believe, Ethan, is the effect of that, of having a social media situation that's more authentic, especially for business owners, people with a personal brand, or brand owners? What do you
Yeah, for
believe?
sure. I think it's just vulnerability. Like people see that what you're selling is something real and it's something for them, right? I think a lot of the times we've been talking to users, and the biggest thing that they love about the app is obviously one, that like all of the fashion they're seeing is from real people. It doesn't look edited. It doesn't look like it's professional from
Mm,
models or anything. And it also gives them kind of like a sense of how it would look on them. Maybe they can compare their body size to another person, something realistic, right? And they can see how the clothes look. Another thing is with our notification, a lot of people say that it actually gives them motivation to put outfits together to try to get their style better
Cool.
because they want to kind of keep up with that notification. Obviously, we allow users to post whether the notification goes off or not, because we don't want to be very strict with the idea that you have to put on a new outfit every day. But we just want to kind of
Mm,
spread that positive environment. And I think that's a big thing for a lot of businesses and brands. If you kind of market yourself as human, like as a person, right? You're not trying to fake what you're not, and you're being honest and authentic about your products,
mm.
about you as a founder or an owner. I think that really attracts a lot of customers. And I think it's definitely one of the reasons why we blew up. Definitely like a lot of the videos I made, I talked about how I spent my life savings or how I'm like in college struggling. And I think that's the beauty of like humanity. It's like people love helping others and they like seeing, a way they can quickly help if you're going through something. And just being yourself. And I think that's the best way to definitely market. And I've already seen people on the app kind of marketing like that, their brands engaging with people in the comments, talking to people. And I think just kind of that kind of connection and engagement is definitely something that helps for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that parallel that you draw now between the way you market the app and the way the app works itself. That you showed your own vulnerability and personal story in order to market it. And that is what went viral in the end. And the same goes for the brand owners that are out there. I see a lot of polished stuff up for many streetwear brands. And it's great. Like polished stuff's good, and it's important, I think, to put out quality. I think that's the main worry behind a lot of their decisions, or the main motivation, the motivating thought is that I want to put something of quality because I care about my audience. And it's a really genuine sentiment. And I think that we maybe need to redefine our definition of quality to share something that's more raw. Because sometimes I think if in the minds of some brand owners, if it's not so edited and you haven't spent 2 hours on one post and all these types of things, that's low quality in their mind if they haven't done that. Whereas it actually, I feel like I like to define quality as the value that you bring to your audience. And sometimes one can bring more value to an audience by providing something that's more raw, that's less edited, that's maybe less to the standard of quality as we used to define it. And so, yeah, I think I mean, you're the best example of anyone, Ethan,
For sure.
that you share your personal story and something that's more raw about, yeah, I'm a struggling uni student and I just spent my life savings on this app. That goes viral. So too could your brand if well, this is me just right now. Like, we're not in the studio, there's no lighting. I'm going for a walk. Or heck, I mean, like, this podcast is for brand owners that still work day jobs. They still work a 9 to 5. Maybe you're, on your way to work. I don't know if you're able to wear that crazy fashion to work, but I mean, if you are, maybe it's you at work, and that's part of your story, and that's part of the raw nature that people buy into, and the app encourages. And I think that's fantastic. It's so good.
For sure,
Mm,
yeah, I appreciate that. No, like genuinely, if you show people you're trying and you show people that you're doing something, it'll always work out. I promise you that for sure. We've been at this for quite a while, and it seems like an overnight success, but it's those pieces that you're doing every day, trying to do something better and
that's
better.
right.
I think it's super
Yeah.
important just to continue on that path to try to get there. And 100%, I think just people are naturally inclined to be attracted to just seeing realistic things. And I think a
Mm,
lot of the time it's relatable for a lot of people as well, especially for like brand owners right now, still working 9 to 5, doing their thing. I think it's even better seeing that journey. I think especially for like a personal brand, just kind of seeing the back end, behind the scenes, things like that, something for sure.
yeah. I'll share a story because I believe it's relevant. I've been I've been conquering each platform as I go. So I'll do, like, with my own marketing on via social media and different platforms. The first one was my daily email. So I feel like I got that really great because I got the average open rate to something that I was really happy with, and I felt people were engaging in a way, and I grew that. And then the next thing was, well, now I'm going to experiment and iterate with Instagram and see how that goes. And something really interesting happened the other day, because I went for a coffee with a friend in Melbourne. I just made a trip to Melbourne, and he was curious about my story. And so I was telling him a bit about it. And part of my story is that I started my first business when I was 6 years old, selling stickers to buy an iPod, right? And so I told that to him, and he was like, "Well, that's a great story. You should make a video about it, and and post it to Instagram." I'm like, I hadn't really considered it, because it's kind of about stickers and not really about fashion. And I don't know if my audience is really, but I was like, it's actually a really good idea. I hadn't considered it before, but I will now. And so I set up in my hotel room, literally just my phone, and I had, like, my little lav mic, and I told my story about how I started my first business and what that means to me today in what I'm doing now, and how I'm helping brand owners turn their side hustle into a full-time career. And I posted it, and it got more response, like double or triple the
Yeah.
response than anything I'd put before. And all these pieces of content that I thought were really good, that I spent a long time on, and I think they were all right. They were helping people. They were valuable. They were more educational in nature. And that post, that story, it got shared like
Yeah.
probably double or triple the amount of times anything else. I was getting people, like, comments, people saying, "Yeah, this is great," and how they loved hearing the story. And so I believe, I mean, I kind of preach about this, so it was a lesson for me to, well, Elijah, you kind of got to practice what you preach a bit more.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and but that really showed me, with very clear evidence in that moment, that the stories, the raw nature of one's story, is really so much more powerful than any polished piece of work you could post online.
Yep.
It is so
100%.
much more powerful, and that is what Fitdrop, I believe, gives the ability for people, for creators and brand owners to do, is show their story in a really raw format. And as I said, like a pic. I think people struggle with the idea that their picture tells a story, but it really does. Because if you are on your way to work and you show a picture of your fit, right? That tells a whole story about how you have this passion to start
Yeah.
a brand and go full time, and that to be your career. And right now it's not that, because there's certain financial commitments that you cannot fulfill. And so that's a whole story. And that's something that I can look at and go, yeah, I really resonate with this story. And so I'm going to follow this person, or maybe even buy from their brand, because that's what their brand represents to me as well. And that's a story that I resonate with. So anyway, there's
Yeah.
a little anecdote.
And no, you're good. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I think a lot of the times people can be scared to put things out because they think it's not perfect.
Mm,
But it's often the times the content you think will do terrible is going to do the best, and it's just because you're being real and you're being you, right? Like, a lot of I think, like, when we first started our marketing, I tried going crazy with the cap cut edits and subtitles,
yeah.
everything. But the ones that ended up blowing up were just me being honest, telling a story, talking
Wow.
about things, telling people what the app is, rather than trying to be flashy or optimize for engagement or retention algorithm, whatever. Yeah, just put it out there, and eventually something will
Mm.
happen for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, so before you mentioned that there's other brands that are already using the app, I'm curious, because I'm not aware myself. How are they using the app, and what are they doing? What are you seeing that they're doing that's working, that's not working, especially for a listener who maybe is considering using your app themselves for their own marketing at the end of the day? So how are the brands currently using your app?
Yeah, for sure. So they're posting like they would any other user. So typically every day, maybe every few days, they'll post something, tag their clothes, leave a caption, things like that. But the really cool part about Fitdrop is that our community is very engaging. If you scroll through the Discover page, 8 out of 10 times you'll see a ton of comments on the post because people are actually going through these posts, commenting, saying like, I love your clothes, I love your style, I love your outfit. And I think that's something
Wow.
that you don't see very often, I think, in a lot of social media platforms. And the way that these brands are leveraging it very early on, we don't have much functionality in terms of the app. We're still very early. But what these brands are doing is they're going and nurturing these users. So they're going into the comment section, replying to their comments, telling them, hey, thank you
Wow.
so much, or trying to get them to engage with their Instagram. They'll leave their Instagram and link of their bio. They'll tag their clothes on the post to the website. They're doing whatever they can manually, essentially, to engage with their audience, people who comment, because those who comment are probably high intent to potentially purchase in the future. And so they're ongoing nurturing users, trying to find a way to generate a lead. And I think that's something that a lot of brandware owners, at least on our platform, are doing currently right now.
How many users has your app got at the moment?
Yeah, currently we're at 50,000 users. So we just actually reached 50,000, I think, yesterday, which is really cool.
Congratulations, Ethan. That is an amazing feat for an app that's been around for 2 months.
Thank you.
That
Appreciate
is
that. Yeah.
that's incredible. Yeah, I this is a fantastic opportunity to build community. And I love talking about community because it's something that I'm really passionate about. It means that brands can sell something. Oh, that is apologies. That was an alarm. That was a phone
You're
alarm.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it means that brand owners can sell something more than just their garments, but they can sell the message behind the garments, the unique ideology, ethos, or lifestyle, and the community that embodies that. And I think a great way to get that ball rolling is by, as you say, nurturing the these users who are commenting and replying and interacting. So, I mean, I'm really curious, Ethan, why do you think it is that the comments are so welcomed on Fitdrop? Why are there many more people commenting than you might usually expect?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely because our platform is kind of like a safe space, I think, for fashion to exist. So I think a lot of the times on
Mm,
bigger social media platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, if you comment somewhere, if you take a picture of your outfit, 9 times out of 10, the followers that you have aren't just your friends. It's all your acquaintances, people who know you, and you probably don't feel comfortable sharing that every day with other people. But if you're
yeah,
meeting strangers on the internet who do the exact same thing as you, they're all into fashion, they all enjoy looking at outfits, it makes you feel more comfortable in your own kind of posting methods and things like that. But you're really comfortable in the community to kind of reach out, connect with people, make new friends. And I think that's the one thing benefit that we have being a fashion app specifically is, everybody there is, a fashion enthusiast. They're into fashion compared to a lot of these other platforms. And so it's really more of a safe space. And that encourages things like comments, engaging with others and things like that for sure.
yeah. I didn't think of this before, but now you say it. This is a platform full of warm leads for fashion brands.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like these are people, as you say, they're interested in fashion. I mean, duh, come on, Fitdrop,
Yeah.
they're interested in fashion, duh. But my point is really that they're people that are willing, they're ready and willing to buy clothing. It's something, in fact, that they already do, and so that means that there's a higher quality of viewers, even if there's less
Exactly.
people.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could say, well, on Instagram has so many millions of users, and Fitdrop only has 50,000. Not to undermine my congratulations before Ethan. That's
For
seriously an
sure.
amazing
Yeah.
feat. Only relatively speaking to Instagram, it's small, right?
Hmm.
And but I kind of think that that becomes irrelevant when you realize how warm these users are, how ready they are
Exactly. Yeah.
to put money down on the table for clothing that they like. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's a shopping app in disguise. Because I don't know. Would you describe it as a shopping app? Not really, right?
It's actually very interesting. So we kind of started off as social. So the whole idea was just to share your
Yeah,
outfits. But we have a statistic, like I think it's like maybe 50 or 60%, somewhere around that number.
yeah.
If you go through posts and you know how you have those tags and things, we found that around 50 to 60% of users who post will add a tag, and then another 40 to 50% will click into those tags and actually look at the website. And that's
Wow.
really high. And that's even just for a small amount of users, 50,000. If you can imagine, if we're able to scale that up and provide more tools for brands to even leverage that idea, it shows that people are on the app not just to be social, but they're here to find new clothes and they're here to find inspiration and to save outfits and to look for new pieces to
Yeah.
buy. And that's definitely somewhere we kind of want to take the platform from being more of just sharing your outfit and kind of being like social and things like that, but to also being a hub for just finding new clothes, sharing your outfits, what you're wearing, inspiration, things like that.
So you say nearly 40% of the posts that have tagged their clothing, was it the what was the statistic? 40% of the posts
Yeah,
that tag their
40% of
clothing.
the, yeah. So any posts that have like a tag on them, we found that 40% of users who click on a tag end up clicking the see product website button if there's one available, like if they leave a link to that.
Right.
The number is even
Wow.
higher for people who just go into the tag that has all the information but without the
Yeah.
actual website link.
That's incredible. I mean, flip, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't think yeah, this is an app that shouldn't be underestimated, I think, because it has a real potential that other platforms haven't been able to provide. Like even like this was interesting to me before that you add these functionalities. For example, the ability to tag your clothes, and I'll just use that example anyway. These are the kind of functions that people have been trying to find solutions for on Instagram, and they do it in different ways. You know, they leave like captions, or maybe they tag the brand, or maybe they reply to comments, or they text on screen. Like all those types of things are their solutions for it. So it shows that there's demand for these functions. Um, and your app has come in and really provided a more tailored solution to exactly what people are already trying to do. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah. So, but anyway, that statistic is it's kind of nuts.
Yeah,
That's a
no, for
lot.
sure. I think like one of the big things we want to push for like brands and things like that on the platform is if you look at like traditional like paid ads, I think outside of organic advertising that a lot of streetwear brands do on TikTok and stuff like that, a lot of them will try paid ads. They think it's a quick way because you can get like 10,000 views. But even if you get a paid ad, you look at the clicks, like the click-through rate that you have to get to your website, super low. And it's because that platform is just full of a bunch of different people. When you're on Fitdrop, you're on here for fashion and fashion alone. And that gives us a lot more higher intent audience that are more likely
Mm,
to click through your link and actually go to your website. And we're looking to actually pilot something very soon with brands. We want to kind of build this feature up and have a different brands page to actually feature a bunch of different brands. We want to focus on
right.
local, smaller brands at first because we believe this is kind of the best way to focus on and also give them a platform, which I think a lot of the time they get overshadowed by things like fast fashion brands or those conglomerates like H&M, Nike, Uniqlo, all those big brands on Instagram and things like that that have reach. So we definitely want to kind of work with small brands very soon to kind of get that going for sure.
Yeah, so can you tell me more about that? What does that look like? Are you already working with brands, or how do you intend to work with brands? And what's the value in it for these brand owners, and what you plan on doing?
Yeah, for sure. So what we're doing is we're building out a dedicated page on our app specifically to promote brands products. So you're going to be able to have a
Mm,
brand page. You're going to be able to list all of your products, whether that's pictures of yourself wearing them, pictures of others, things like that, as you would like a traditional Fitdrop account. When you post something, you see the looks, except you're going to be highlighted on the app for everybody to see. So that's kind of the initial step of the kind of project itself. Right now, we're working with 5 brands to pilot this product. And the idea behind this pilot is to figure out, one, we want to verify 100% if this leads to increased sales for the brands. Two, we want to
Mm,
see like if it's good for the users, if they're actually being
mm,
engaged with this page. And the idea behind it is we want to see if we're able to actually get those buyers, even though we have a much smaller audience compared to like TikTok, Instagram, if you were to run ads on there. But if you
mm.
were to run something on Fitdrop, trying to see if the click-through rate would be higher than what you would get on like TikTok or Instagram, and to see if it would actually lead to real leads and sales for your brand. And I think one of the big things we want to do is kind of change the advertising model. A lot of the times, these brands, these TikTok platforms and social media apps, they charge for like CPM, right? So it's like
Yeah.
cost per 1,000 views. It can go anywhere from like $3 to $5. So like if you want 5,000 views, that's expensive, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, like paying that much for 5,000 views, half the time it's going to lead to like less than 1% of those 5,000 actually going on your site, probably even lower buying it because they're just a general kind of audience. And even with a lot of the advertising tools on Instagram, TikTok, it's still very flawed because there's just so many people compared to Fitdrop, where it's just fashion people alone, right? And so the idea with this page is we're thinking of maybe not doing it that CPM model, but something a lot cheaper and more affordable for these brands. And definitely we want to kind of interview more brand owners, kind of learn from them to see what would fit with their kind of budget, their niche, things like that. And it's something we definitely want to work with for sure.
I'd see that being a very valuable tool because a lot of the brands that I interact with talk about the fact, especially if they've been around for 5 or more years, Facebook ads used to be a money machine. You know, it was, you put the money in and it
Yeah.
doubles it, comes straight back out. But now when they're trying to work with Facebook ads, they're barely breaking even. And so many brands are taking their ad spend and putting it into organic methods of reach, simply for the fact that it's not worth their time or money. And if they're breaking even, it's not even worth the risk, because what do you get from it? And if you can get, nowadays a lot more reach from organic even,
Yeah.
and that's free. Heck, that's free. So yeah, I think there does need to be a solution to address the I don't want to say loss of Facebook ads, but you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
there needs to be something to address this and combat this, and it was always coming. And so yeah, I'm really curious to see what you come up with. I got a question to do with these 5 brands that you're working with. Have you already started working with them?
Yeah, so right now we've just been interviewing them, kind of talking about their
Mm,
brand, what they're looking to kind of get out of their business. And then essentially we're trying to develop the tools in our app to fit their
yeah.
needs. And so it's kind of being able to interview them and talk to them has kind of helped us figure out what specifically to build, how to build it, and the best way to actually broadcast their products to all the users on our app.
So what are some of the specific things that you found from those interviews that keep coming up that you're looking at, uh, yeah, that are going to motivate your decisions for what you end up building or what you plan to build into the future?
Yeah. So the first thing, obviously, the biggest concern is driving sales. That's the most
Mm,
important thing to a lot of these brand owners is, can your platform actually generate sales for our business compared to if I were to spend my time and efforts on Instagram, TikTok, and doing that. And that's the biggest thing that we want to focus on is figuring out how we can hone in on that statistic I told you about that with the 40%, how we can really apply that better to brands specifically to generate more
mm.
sales. That's the most kind of top of funnel, most important thing we're focusing on in terms of development. The second thing is we want to kind of figure out a way to market them in the app very authentically. And a lot of these kind of brands you're working with, they don't have the budget for things like a professional photo shoot or, like product promos, things like that. And I think the coolest part about Fitdrop, as we spoke earlier, was kind of the authenticity, how it's very no filter. It's just authentic, real photos, very raw. And I think wanting to kind of figure out a way to do that more in app, other than just posting pictures, but to be able to showcase that really on display.
Hmm.
And in general, like a big one is a lot of them are small businesses. They can't afford, massive marketing budgets. They can't afford to, have huge campaigns. And so we want to make sure that we're able to put these brands kind of on a highlight so that people can support small businesses, right? These brand owners who are just doing something they're passionate about, right? But also at the same time, help them generate leads, sales, and things like that for sure.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of relevant points and maybe answer to some of the objections that might be in the minds of listeners at the moment. Um, so yeah, I'm really grateful that you brought up those points. Yeah, though that's really quite interesting, especially look, I'm a little bit curious to know more about what are the specific things you're going to do to, for example, you mentioned marketing these brands. What does that mean, and like, what are you actually going? What are some of the things that you're planning on implementing on a technical level?
Yeah, for sure. I'll go through two things. So we have some really cool stuff like planned. The first one is a brands page. So it's like a specific page dedicated to just showcasing these brands. So you're going to be able to have your logo on the app, have an actual
Mm,
product page. You can see all your different products, things like that. Users can scroll through that for fun. And another really cool kind of thing we're doing is we're making it's kind of like a Tinder type system where you can swipe through clothes. So
oh
it's like left
wow.
to right, whether you like it or not. And the idea behind this is that you're going to be able to actually put your brand's clothes on that page. So say you have like 5 different shirts you want to sell. We'll put all of those maybe for a small fee or something like that. And what it is it's going to be kind of gamified. So at the same time, it's
Mm,
good for us because users will be kind of stuck looking through clothes. They're going to be able to curate what they see when they swipe left or right. And they'll be recommended certain brands depending on kind of
mm,
what clothes they like, what they have, the different topics they're interested in. And it's really fun for users because they can just shop through, look at different clothes, and brands are going to be able to have a chance at getting that sale because their item is right there in front of them. They can choose to
mm.
like it or not. They can shop from that. That's definitely one of the big things we're doing, and we're hoping to work with a lot more brands to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, I you just reminded me of a feature that I thought was really interesting about Fitdrop, and it was the leaderboard feature. Can you tell me a bit more about how that works, or even maybe share, like, introduce the idea to listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So we're working on a new feature called Fit of the Week. So the idea is it's kind of like a Spotify Wrapped, but for your outfits. So what you're wearing. So every week we're going to like allow your friends and your followers to vote on your outfit and then figure out, hey, which one out of all the outfits you posted during the week was your best one? And it's going to show you that. And then we have another one where it's like, okay, that's just for you personally and your friends. But what about the entire app? So now the entire app is going to be able to vote on different outfits they see throughout the week. And the best ones are going to be featured on the leaderboard. And they're going to have an entire display on the leaderboard for the whole app to see. There'll be their username. They'll show like how many times they've been featured. They'll get a really cool badge on their profile. It's a new way to kind of not just implement like a game type feature onto the app, something that's really fun and vanity, but it's also a great
Mm.
way to organically get exposure without having to spend money or put too much effort other than just being real and putting your posts out.
Yeah, I when you mention the ability to, especially the global leaderboard for the entire app, something comes to mind, and it's that maybe someone, like, I just think of someone who might have 200 followers
Yeah.
versus someone who has 1,000. And the person who has 1,000 followers may have a greater chance to score on that leaderboard simply because of the drive of their follower base than someone who only has 200. So
Yeah.
is there a system to give everyone an equal chance? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, 100%. So the idea behind it is we want to distribute it in a way that's fair so everybody has a chance. So we're not 100% going to base it on just likes or something like that, where it's like, hey, you have 1,000 people, have 1,000 people go and vote for you right now. because obviously that's unfair. And the biggest thing, we have a ton of different factors kind of in the back end that's going to allow that to be happening in a fair process. But I can guarantee you that everybody on the leaderboard and everybody on the app is going to have a fair chance at getting there. And outside of the leaderboard, everybody also has their own personal fit of the week in case they don't get there, just to make sure that everybody's included.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for us is making sure this is an inclusive community, that we aren't trying to have influencers or have like people be better than others, because fashion is very subjective to everyone, right? And it's something you want to express yourself with. And we always kind of want to market it that way, that it's a safe space for everyone. You never have to worry about any sort of comparisons, whether you're better than another person. And so that's kind of the biggest thing for us, making sure there's like an equitable way to do things. And we're definitely developing things on the back end to make sure that happens.
Yeah, you said it before about the safe space for everyone. And I think that it being a safe space, I mean, this is kind of another topic now. So being a safe space creates a really accessible way for brand owners who maybe feel less confident in creating, like starting a new Instagram account and creating a personal brand and posting themselves for everyone to see. Having this new app and a safe space where everyone will get around you and loves fashion and clothing, and heck, even the fact that you're able to post this stuff without judgment. It's really it's a great concept, and makes something like a personal brand very accessible. And I see a lot of personal brands popping up on this app, if they haven't already, certainly into the future.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're definitely, we want, no matter how big or at scale we end up getting, I think the biggest thing is just making sure that it's a safe space for people to express
Yeah.
themselves in fashion. And that's 100% kind of like our mission, our values to do that for sure.
Yeah. And you believe that the fit of the week and the leaderboard doesn't take away from the safe space, but adds to it? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely at first you would probably think that like, hey, it kind of contradicts the idea of like inclusion, things like that.
Mm,
We got this idea from our Instagram. So when we first started out the app, every week we would take 9 users and we'd post them on our Instagram. And we found that
cool.
everyone actually loved this. Like if you go through the comments, people enjoy looking
Mhm.
at this. I actually ask in the app on my account, I'll post like every week and I'll be like, hey guys, send me some people who you think should win. And like most of the time, everybody is nominating other people rather than themselves. And I think
Yeah,
the really cool thing is like, it's not just about winning, it's about seeing your friends, get featured. It's about seeing cool outfits. And I
that's
think there's
cool.
no judgment in terms of like who's better than another. It's just something that's kind of fun, really kind of like a game to do. And ideally it wouldn't get out of hand where it's like, oh, comparing myself to another person, but definitely it's something we have to look for in the back of our head for sure.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that. I think how you described it puts a really beneficial lens on it all, on the leadership board system. And so yeah, I think that's a great place for individuals to be elevated, as like you say, like people are voting for other people. It's really about elevating who you
Exactly.
think, like it's about elevating others, and also giving them an opportunity to be highlighted for maybe something that they care about, and something that they're putting effort into, and something that, well, it means something to them to be highlighted for it. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
that's a great system. Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm. Yeah. So I mean, this feels like it's coming to that our conversation is coming to a bit of an end. But I'd love you, Ethan, to, before we finish off, um, to sort of to share what are your own desires for really where you want to take this into. Like, of course, we've spoken a bit about the near future, but also the long-term future for some listeners who maybe are thinking of coming and joining your app, but it being something that they stick with, that they commit to. Please, what share your thoughts, share your
Yeah,
ideas and
sure.
dreams.
Yeah, in general, like we just want to make a safe space for fashion to exist. I think a lot of the times people end up getting caught up on Instagram, TikTok by all these kind of like models, influencers, other people. People don't know where to actually find clothes that fit them. People don't know where to find outfits that would actually look good on them. And I think we want to make just the safest platform for that to exist. If somebody wants to find an outfit, they can go on Fitdrop. If someone doesn't know where to get an outfit from, they can search it up on Fitdrop. Just in general, we want to make kind of the mecca or the hub of fashion online, and we want to do that through Fitdrop. And I think that's something we can definitely do in the future. And it's definitely kind of our, I would say, our high level vision and goal for sure.
Mm. Do you see it reaching a cap of users? Like, is there only so many people that are interested in fashion, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I honestly I think that there is a very small space of people who are just fashion enthusiasts. I think like not everybody is like super interested in like fashion on the regular. Like it's not like a big thing for them. But I think we want to make this platform more into not just for people who like fashion, but just in general, people who are interested, kind of getting started in kind of learning about their own personal style, want to connect with new people who are doing the same, make friends, discuss about fashion. And even if it's not just that, there's millions of people out there who are into fashion, who discuss about these things. We see like Poshmark, Depop, they have millions of users, and those are just people selling clothes. So you can imagine there's probably more who
Yeah,
just like discussing and talking about them, right? Compared to those who actually go into
yeah.
clothes. And so there's definitely a lot of room for us to grow. Right now, definitely not. If we were to grow that big, it'd probably destroy the app. But definitely, like in the future, it's a goal for us, and I think we can get there.
Mm. Yeah, and what is your ratio of male to female users? It's just an interesting point because I mean, generally speaking, like historically speaking, females have been the ones that are
Yeah.
into fashion. So is there, and streetwear is more male
Mhm.
focused. I think it has a larger male audience. So I'm just interested about that point.
Yeah, no, it's definitely actually it's very true. I think the majority of the users on our app are definitely female. There is a good mix of males in there. Maybe I don't have the exact number, but I'd say maybe 40%, 30 or 40% would be male. The rest probably female.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's that. I mean that's good numbers, right?
Yeah,
That's
for
good
sure. Yeah.
numbers. And also, I mean, there's nothing hurts. I mean, lots of the clothing that listeners maybe that may be releasing is unisex anyway. It's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so it nothing hurts to have a few more female buyers, right?
For sure, yeah. No, definitely. Like we have a huge community. Everybody's super inclusive. And just in general, all types of clothes are welcome. And it's okay if I kind of just plug real quick.
Yeah, yeah, please go
Email,
ahead. I
yeah.
was going to ask, but please, Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sure. I just wanted to add, like, if any of you guys watching are looking to kind of learn more about FitDrop, see how we can help your brand, feel free to email us at hello@fitdrop.xyz, and then I'll reach out and then see what we can do for sure.
Yeah, and what kind of things might they email you about? For example, someone who's interested in being a part of it somehow because they really like what you're doing and they see its potential and they see the leverage that it could have for them. What kind of things could you give examples of maybe other emails that others have sent that have led to great opportunities, very mutually beneficial? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first one is definitely let me know if you've made an account and kind of been on it. Let me see your account, see what you kind of been doing. Let me know what you would want to see. So kind of any suggestions or feedback you have on the app in its current state and how you think it could help you as a brand owner. And then just any other kind of questions you might have for me, the platform, and then any ideas you also have for the platform as well. And I'd definitely love to discuss, get back to you on that. And I think we can definitely kind of form a partnership from there.
Mm. And where can listeners download Fitdrop and what do they search to find it?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find FitDrop on the Apple or Android Play Store, so the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Just search up FitDrop, and you'll definitely find it from there. We're available pretty much everywhere right now except for France. And so if you're in France, you're out of luck right now. Hopefully, we'll be out there soon, but otherwise, most regions you'll be able to download it.
Oh, my Frenchies, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, Ethan, this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed getting the inside scoop on the Fitdrop and really learning about something that I believe will. I mean, I can say I knew it before it was big, relatively to what I believe
Appreciate that. Yeah.
it might become in the future. So yeah, thanks for being so generous with your time and the value that you've brought to this conversation. So I really appreciate you coming on, Ethan.
Yeah, appreciate. Thank you for having me. It was a great discussion, and I'm glad we were able to kind of talk about that and see how we can provide value to brand owners as well.
Yeah. And did you have a personal page or anything that if listeners had follow-up questions about what we've discussed? I mean, you left your email, of course, your business email, but is there a personal page that people can follow along with your journey?
I would say you can actually just go on the go to our Fitdrop Instagram, so at Fitdrop app. Just feel free to message. I respond to pretty much every message. I'm on there like 24/7, so you can message. I'll get to it for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on again, Ethan, and I hope it won't be long before the next time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
See you later.
Take care.